Welcome to Shooby Dooby Doo, a podcast where we talk about pop music, specifically by deep diving a UK top 10 randomly picked from the past. It won't be easy, you'll think it's strange, but we're sneaking out the back door to hang out with those hoodlum friends of ours. There ain't no telling who you might meet, but our hearts begin a thumping and we're crazy like a fool. I'm Andy Robinson.
And I'm James Cook.
What top 10 are we delving into randomly picked from the past this week, James?
We are travelling back to the 28th of January, 1977.
The Silver Jubilee. I don't know why I've chosen to go for that. It was the year of the Silver Jubilee, but nonetheless, that's where I've gone with it, James. What were you doing on the 28th of January, 1977?
I was in utero, so I'm used to hearing all these songs a little bit more muffled.
I get ya. Me personally, I was a crazy mixed up kid, a 7-8-year-old, something like that. Anyway, although I didn't buy any of the singles in this UK top 10, I bought 30% of them, I'm going to say subsequently, whether on albums or best-ofs or compilations. That still counts as contributing, doesn't it, James?
On that basis, I have 20% of them.
What did you make of this top 10? With no spoilers, just as a general order. Have you enjoyed listening to it this week?
I have really enjoyed this top 10. I think it peaks in the middle, as we will get to, but there are some songs in this that I maybe have dismissed in the past and I have revisited. And there's a couple of songs that I had never heard that I've really got into. So that's the good thing about this podcast, is about finding those sort of hidden gems.
Why don't you check out the Spotify playlist we have attached, which is in the descriptions? I mean, you know, you can either listen to that before or during, if you don't mind hopping platforms, or afterwards.
And also, there'll be a YouTube playlist for people who don't have Spotify.
Let's try and put 28th of January 1977 into some sort of context. These are the headlines. The UK was holding the presidency of the Council of the European Union. So here we are, all these years later. Yeah. Clive Sinclair introduced a 2-inch TV screen, which sold for £1.75.
What is 2 inches big?
Yeah, man. Pretty good, isn't it? Pretty good.
It sounds awful. That's far too small.
You've had that said to you before, I bet. The Ford Fiesta car has just gone on sale. Hey, Jimmy Carter was just sworn in as the 39th president. Now, at the week of recording this week, James, what do you make of this? Jimmy Carter, the 39th president?
He looks like a good guy, doesn't he? I reckon he'll live till he's 100 still doing amazing charity work.
We are recording this. You can listen to these shows in any order you like, obviously, but we're recording this week where Trump's just got back in. That might form a backdrop for something or other.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We've
got pop music to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying not to think about that. I'm trying to think about all the lovely pop music. I could also tell you that this was the day after EMI cancelled their contract with the Sex Pistols.
Nice research.
And a week after this, the album Rumours by Fleetwood Mac was released. So that's where we are in the music world. Do you know what the number one album in the UK was?
Nope.
This week? It was Red River Valley by Slim Whitman.
Excellent work. We talked about Slim Whitman only last week in 1955 with his Rosemary single.
That's right. And also in our bonus tracks where you called him a bastard a lot.
Well, this is because he had a moustache, and this is going to come up again later, weirdly enough. Also in the top 40, there's Don't Believe a Word, Thin Lizzy, Money, Money, Money by ABBA, Boogie Nights, Living Thing by ELO, Don't Leave Me This Way, Harold Melvin, Gary Glitter's number 29 with It Takes All Night Long. So we are living in a world of pop music, aren't we? 1977, golden era, some would say.
Got some stats for you?
I am so fond of your statistics.
This top 10 contains 2 UK number ones, 4 non-movers, 4 going up and 2 going down, for a total net movement of plus 31. There are 4 British artists, 4 American, 1 German and a Jamaican. There are 5 groups and 5 solo artists. We've got 2 cover versions and a show tune.
I believe there are 5 love songs about the complexities of love. There are 2 songs possibly about mental health issues. There are 2 songs about professions. And 1 song about giving advice to a bereaved nation.
What could that be?
What on earth could it be? However, crucially, there are no moments of self-reference, but there is 1 big key change, maybe possibly 2. You know, I'm always keeping my eye out for a key change. There are also another half a dozen songs on the playlist that are in the top 50 on the 28th of January 1977, and we have a little explore around them in our special bonus tracks podcast.
Including More Than a Feeling, Steely Dan, a song wrenched from the headlines and a song all about the film Casablanca.
You can join our Patreon community for free. The Bonus Tracks podcast costs less than a Rubik's Cube a month.
Did you have a Rubik's Cube, Andy, growing up?
No. I found that for, let's call it other chuds. Did you have one?
Yeah, I've still got one.
I bet you can do it really quick, can't you?
No. Everything about me points to the fact that I could do the Rubik's Cube really quick, but I can't.
I used to take the stickers off and put them on the other side. Anyway, let's do it. There ain't no telling who you might meet.
Number 10.
Up 6 places to number 10 this week. It's Car Wash by Rose Royce. Have you got loads of facts about Rose Royce?
Yeah, of course
you have. God bless you, James. We appreciate it. Tell me about the song. What happens to you when it's playing?
I had about 25 years where I couldn't listen to this song.
What?
Because it was too traumatic.
What? I wasn't expecting it to go this way so early on.
Yeah. You know, it gets in the charts now, 1977, upon its original release. About a decade afterwards, it is re-released into the charts in a sort of remixed way, but not that different to the classic version. And I must have heard it on a Now album or something around that time. Anyway, in 1988, me and my family went to Pontins on our summer holiday, and there was a talent competition for the kids, which I entered,
right,
and obviously won because of my huge talent.
What were you doing in the talent
I
competition?
just telling some jokes that I heard, basically.
To this day, that continues.
Yep. And they went, well done, you've won. Here's a certificate, here's a medal, and you've qualified for the grand final at the end of the season at our flagship venue down in Kent. So I was like, brilliant. And, you know, I told my folks and everything, and they were like, oh, wonderful.
Hang on, you told your folks they didn't see you?
Oh, no. No, we were at the kids' club, you know. God knows what my parents were doing. I don't even want to think about it, to be honest. We had to go down to Kent on a weekend in... Yes, all right, I'm getting somewhere. Kent in September.
So I'm still thinking about what your parents might have been doing. My apologies.
Stop it. I had to go to Kent in September, so we had to take a day off school, me and my brother, and my parents had to take time off work. And this wasn't a free trip, by the way. My parents had to pay for us to go and do this. And all the while leading up to it, my dad had been like, do you know what you're going to do in the final? And I'd said, yes, which was a lie. And then he went, do you want any props? Do you need any props for what you're going to do for your act? And I said, yes, please. And the props I asked for was a bow tie on a stick and the lyrics to the song Car Wash printed off as big as he could at his job working with computers, which he did. And he came through with both of those props. He provided them to me. I think basically in my head, because every comedian I'd ever seen on the TV had finished with a song.
It's a showbiz tradition.
Yeah, I thought I'm going to finish with a song, and the song I'm going to finish with is Car Wash by Rose Royce. A song that wasn't particularly my favourite, but I decided that was going to be the song that I, an 11-year-old boy, was going to sing, and I wanted the lyrics so that the audience could join in.
Why is it so traumatic?
So we go to the thing, and there's like first of all there's like a dress rehearsal bit, and there's a piano player. Yeah. And they go, oh, do you want any music? Because we've got a piano player. So I went up to the piano player and I said, can you play Car Wash by Rose Royce? Now, what instrument is lacking from the song Car
A big
Wash?
stinking piano. Yeah. But, you know, it's still an instrument. You can still do a rendition.
Yeah. Anyway, the rehearsal did not go well. And so that was cut from the act, as indeed was everything cut from the act. And when it was time to do the competition, I got up on stage, floundered around, left to the sound of my own footsteps. And then my parents said to my brother, we never talk about this again. And to be fair to them, they never have.
And yet, here we are, you spilling it on the internet for all and sundry.
Do you know the first time I ever told another human being about this?
No.
Was 2021.
Blimey. I think you're being too hard on yourself. Who gives a shit? I mean, you did a song with an 11-year-old, or you didn't do a song. My apologies. You had a bad spot. I mean, I've seen you do a gig not so long ago, James, and I wouldn't say it was that different. If I'm being a bit of a nana, just teasing you and poking you.
I'm exposing myself here. I'm very vulnerable right now.
It's a new way, James. On the podcast, talk about your mental health. What happened when you've got to work your fingers to the bone, and you did.
I know. So that has tainted how I have viewed the song Car Wash ever since.
I get you. I mean, as a as a young man who was aspiring to be a singer-songwriter, let's say, as well, in my stupid self-delusions, I emptied a pub once in West Bromwich by singing Saturday Boy by Billy Bragg, thinking that's what people want on a Saturday night in Carter's Green. As it turns out, no. All right, then. Well, that's a very personal take.
I'm sorry.
Disco. No. This is what we're doing, aren't we?
Yep.
It's the disco classic, like I say.
It is really good.
It's really good. I've got a fact there. I wanted to know who wrote it. It was written by Norman Whitfield.
Yep.
Tell us about Norman Whitfield, James.
I can tell you that he wrote this song, he wrote the lyrics on a KFC bag.
What, how'd you...
While
Really?
he was watching a basketball game. This was the 4th American #1 that he wrote or co-wrote. The other 3 are I Can't Get Next to You and Just My Imagination by The Temptations and War by Edwin Starr.
Yeah, I mean, Norman Whitfield, my knowledge of him is a Motown songwriter, producer. He's got loads of songs, hasn't he? Those are maybe his hits, but there's thousands of them that he's contributed. Thanks, Norman Whitfield, for all your contribution to pop music. It was a soundtrack to a film, wasn't it?
Yep.
Comedy.
Yep, the film Car Wash, IMDb rating 6.2. Directed by Michael Schultz, who'd go on to direct that film, the Sgt. Pepper film that had the Bee Gees in it.
Universally panned. I've never seen it.
No, I've never seen it either.
I saw the video. I was aware of the song as a young boy. I mean, it just makes working in a car wash sound so much fun. It was an aspirational thing, watching this dappled, beautiful sunlight in Los Angeles. I mean, there's 5 fellas working on one car at a time, having a right laugh, looking at women. It looked a great lifestyle working in a car wash. There's no
Maybe not for the women.
No, it's a man's world. I mean, there's no one on the desk, though, saying, do you want the bronze or the silver or the gold service? And we've got to take out the mats and charge you extra for that. I'm saying it was a aspirational song. I've been watching a lot of the election, as we mentioned in, let's call it, the precursor, because I've been a bit bombarded with it. I heard someone in the last week or so, 2 weeks maybe, talking about this song and quoting, we've got to work our fingers to the bone. I can't remember if it's a Republican or Democrat now, but they were citing the song Car Wash as an aspirational lifestyle for the Americans.
Well, it is better than digging a ditch, which is...
Much better.
It's not the only instance in this chart of people setting the bar very low.
Okay, interesting.
Their expectations.
Interesting. No spoilers.
Well, it's better than digging a ditch, is it?
But the boss don't mind if you act like a fool, so that's some kind of payoff, isn't it?
That is true. And also, there's no telling who you might meet. Could be a movie star or an Indian chief.
Yeah, that's a good line, isn't it, that pops out early on.
Have they met the village people? Is that what's going on?
I'm not good. Well, sorry for being so patronising. That's really tickled me. There's a little Starsky and Hutch connection, which comes up later. Huggy Bear, or the actor who plays that character,
Antonio Fargas.
Nice work, nice knowledge.
Also in that film, Richard Pryor, Franklin Ajay, George Carlin, all American comedians, Ellen Brody from Jaws, and the Pointer Sisters.
I mean, I haven't really had opportunity, which I might moan on and win. No, not moaning on, I might explain this week, to listen to this week's top 10 closely, like I have done in the past. But, I know Car Wash back to front. I'm thinking, I can't groove to it. But I have grooved to this in various contexts all my life. There's some few YouTube comments. You know me, I like to look at YouTube comments as my little nod to research. This is beautiful from someone called DJ Cool Cliff. He said, that's my uncle Wah Wah Watson on guitar. So I had a little look at Wah Wah Watson. I mean, it's YouTube comments, isn't it? So who knows? But someone else claimed he played on Let's Get It On, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, I Will Survive. May not be true. Again, in this week's election, look at YouTube comments and work out if they're facts or not for yourself. But it's beautiful, I also read the family member there said, I don't know where he is, but wherever he is now, he's grooving. That's kind of beautiful. He was one of the old Motown house bands as well, so that's impressive.
Rose Royce. The woman's name's not Rose Royce. That's the name of the band. The band is Rose Royce.
Her name is Gwen
Dickey.
Yeah, of course, I forgot. A little momentary blip.
She took the stage name Rose Norwalt. Seems like a weird stage name to have.
Great name.
Why don't you just go for Rose Royce? She lives in London, and at age 70, she still tours with Gwen Dickey's Rose Royce and performs from her wheelchair.
Ah, cool.
following she had a spinal injury in 2010. That
When I say cool, I don't mean she had a spinal injury. That's good. I'm not one of them people. Well, amazing thing.
Yeah, she's still going.
I hope it's not purely because she needs the money and there's a bit of joy and wants to sing the beautiful songs. Rolls Royce are great, aren't they?
Yeah, do you know what their biggest UK hit was?
Love Don't Live Here Anymore.
Is correct, yes.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Million pop points to me.
It gets to number 2 in 1978. So even despite my trauma, which you have dismissed, I feel like you're not giving that the weight it deserves.
Why?
Well, look at me. I'm a wreck of a man.
You're all right. So what? So you had a bad gig? I mean, it's what? No, I'm not giving it the weight it deserves. It didn't put you off, did it? I mean, if you'd been in your attic ever since, but never came out, I might say, "Oh, it's a shame." But
like Miss Havisham, just dressed in the clothes I was wearing that day.
You're all right. You took a beating, and then you got back up, and as Chumbawamba said, you got straight back up again, or whatever it was.
But even despite all that, it's a joyful song. It's a joyful song about having a terrible job. Have you ever washed cars for money?
Nope, certainly not. I don't even wash my own car for my own personal hygiene. I mean, it's one of those songs which I like. We've mentioned this before, haven't we? Like Waterloo Sunset we did one week, and we talk about when you go to Waterloo, you end up singing that. I haven't been past a car wash or been in a car wash without singing this song all my life, so I'm sort of grateful for that as well. It's in my, let's call it, eternal brain jukebox.
Number 9.
A non-mover at 9, its peak position, Wild Side of Life by Status Quo.
I love Status Quo. I didn't know they'd recorded this song. I know this song from it's an old country song by a fella called Hank Thompson, which I'm sure you've looked at in your research. But what a treat that was. I mean, I love this song. Then all of a sudden this week, here comes Status Quo, whacking it with their 3-chord boogie.
Yeah, who did you say first released it?
I thought it was Hank Thompson.
No, Jimmy Heap and his Melody Masters.
Oh, really?
The year before Hank Thompson.
Excellent work.
Yeah, so this song is from 1951.
This song is pretty interesting to me. Let's talk about the Croacity of it all. I've had such little...
It sounds like, if you haven't heard this song, but you know what Status Quo sound like, you can work out what this song sounds like.
Yeah, man. Now, Hank Thompson, or whoever it was who recorded it the year before, what do you make of the lyrical content of this old country song, James?
Well, it appears to be the wild side of life is referring to something that his ex is returning to after a breakup.
Absolutely. She's not answering the phone because she's out and about in a bar, isn't she? Being a honky-tonk angel. So,
Honky Tonk Angel sounds like the kind of thing Jules Holland would be when he dies.
Boogie Woogie Angel he'd be, I reckon. Honky Tonk Angel. Now, this is good. I'm glad we've gone to Honky Tonk Angels because I believe it's a sort of synonym, a metaphor for, let's call it, a woman of the night who likes hanging around in bars. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of the old country thing of calling someone a honky-tonk angel. It goes on now in country songs, in modern country songs. They're basically eyeing up a woman in a bar. Hence the name honky-tonk, which means another word for a bar or a club. In the Status Quo version, let me get this right because I think this is interesting. In the main refrain, Status Quo sing, I never knew there were honky-tonk angels. I might have known you'd never make a wife. Status Quo slightly changed the words.
Oh, okay.
And the Hank Thompson song, or whoever wrote the original, says, I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels. I might have known you'd never make a wife. Hank Thompson is saying that God is responsible for creating these women. And then
on what day did he create Honky Tonk Angels?
Must have been the 7th day.
Yeah.
Just doesn't like to talk about it. You weren't resting, you're out and about in the bars, God. And then a few years later, another fantastic country singer called Kitty Wells did what would you call it? A reply record to this. And she says it wasn't God that made Honky Tonk Angels. And she goes on to chastise the man for being a little bit sexy. It's a feminist anthem as a reply. That's interesting. And Status Quo didn't make any allusions to that, but that's a little fact I know in my head.
Status Quo in feminism shock.
I always remember that bit in Do They Know It's Christmas? In the video. And and the Status Quo there at the back, aren't they? And they're doing when they're showing the big choir singing at the end, they catch Status Quo looking up some woman, Jodie Watley, I think, and outlining her shape in their hands and being quite lecherous, and then they realise they've been caught. That's all right though. Hey, it's rock and roll, different times, yeah.
They've got that thing.
Yeah.
Status Quo.
Let me get my guitar. I mean, James, this is essentially, what's your favourite letter between A and G?
F.
So F is... I mean, it's the status quo rhythm, isn't it? Only played much better by them.
Yeah, and much more lucratively. The song is very simple.
It's a 3-chord country classic. It's in B flat, so that would be basically B flat, E flat, and F for a 3-chord song. But you know, they got a little silly intro where they go to B flat at the beginning, C, F, and then into that's their beginning before they get into B flat being great. So that's a little bit of complexity.
It makes me want to, put on my blue jeans and white t-shirt.
Absolutely. Hook your fingers in your belt hoops and give it some. Yeah, I mean, I loved it this week, I'll be honest there with you. Whilst not earth-shattering.
It sounds like if AI did status quo songs.
YouTube comments were interesting. There's a big argument raging on about whether Alan Lancaster played it on bass, and then some people saying he wasn't on it. He was in Australia. I didn't really care about that, but what I did like was one comment from somebody. Let's call him Martin Bertie 2002. This is a good bit of vocabulary.
Can I just say it was Roger Glover who's playing the bass?
Nice research, James. Maybe it was you on YouTube since you've been doing this. So this fella said... I liked it on YouTube, mainly because of the use of this word. He went, I went to see them in Bingley Hall. We were queuing up for them that night. It was cowing freezing.
That is cold. Cowing?
Cowing?
It's a proper meteorological term for really cold.
Absolutely. I mean, it's in the Midlands, so I like that little adverb, if that's the right word for it. I think probably with this song, Martin Bertie 2002 summed it up best on YouTube because he just wrote in, I like this one.
I wish all comments on the internet were that. I like this. It's so nice if there weren't trolls around.
And yet, if you are hanging around in bars hoping to meet a honky-tonk angel, I mean, that's what this song's about. It's a warning, isn't it? A little bit, I'm going to claim, just for the sake of something to say.
Who are they warning?
Other men. It's a bro thing.
What is it? Quos before hoes.
Number 8.
Up 10 places to number 8 this week. It's Boney M with Daddy Cool.
Have you got a pencil?
Yeah.
Have you got some teeth?
What do you mean? Where's this going?
Answer the question.
I have a pen in my hand and I have all my teeth.
Then
except one wisdom tooth, which was very troublesome.
Then you can recreate the beginning of Daddy Cool by Boney M, because that is the sound of a man playing on his teeth with a pencil.
Do you want to try and recreate it with this pen I've got in my hand? Do you think you can do it?
No.
What do you mean?
The very beginning of Daddy Cool by Boney M is a man hitting his teeth with a pencil.
Something like... What's he saying there?
He's not saying anything.
Oh,
He's just kind of making noise. That's how it begins, yeah.
I mean, if you think my guitar playing is unnecessary, then thank you for tolerating that. I mean, Boney M, all right then, as a young man, a young, impressionable boy, whenever Boney M came on the television, I didn't really understand them, but I was intrigued. And when I looked at the video again late last night, I absolutely understood why they would intrigue a young boy.
Oh, yes.
3 striking women, and the other fella, there's a YouTube comment. I love this. There's a YouTube, this is a good one. This was a YouTube comment underneath from Vunya GDB. Thank you very much. And they say, it looks like their mama said, you all can start a group, but only if your brother's in it.
That's Bobby Farrell.
Yeah.
Is the bloke in Boney M.
Tell me about Boney M. Like I say, I mean, they have got, I only know about half a dozen songs, and they are all weird, unique gems.
And they were all massive hits. Yeah. Boney M were so huge in the sort of late 70s, very early 80s. And this was their first hit in the UK, Daddy Cool. But they have Rasputin, Brown Girl in the Ring, Rivers of Babylon, all that. Mary's Boy Child as well. Yep. All of them selling millions of copies. And of the people in the video, you mentioned the 3 women there. There's Liz Mitchell and Marcia Barrett from Jamaica. They sing on the records. There's Maisie Williams, who was brought up in Birmingham. She doesn't sing. And Bobby Farrell, the bloke who...
Birmingham we live in?
Yes.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And Bobby Farrell, who doesn't sing on any of the records. The bloke's voice in all the Boney M records is a German bloke called Frank Farian, who was the songwriter and producer and the male voice behind Boney M.
So the fella is a bit of a Milli Vanilli, let's call it a totem and mimer. But he looks great, doesn't he? He's certainly part of the appeal of Boney M.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Years later, Frank Farian started another group on a very similar basis of the main people in it were actually not actually singing on the records.
And who would that be?
Milli Vanilli,
wow,
who you mentioned.
Yeah, okay.
And then there was obviously the whole hoo-ha about that. And he was like, I did this with Boney M. What's the problem?
Yeah.
You all like that. But now, oh no.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, the notion of, let's call it authenticity in pop music always interests me. Some people absolutely feel that it's an artistic expression of the self. I like all the bubblegum candiness, the pantomime of it all as well. I don't care.
Bobby Farrell died on the 30th of December 2010 in St. Petersburg. Do you know who else died on the 30th of December in St. Petersburg?
Dude, was it you when you were singing Car Wash at some gig?
No, it was Rasputin.
Okay.
But that was in 1916. So I just think it's odd that the bloke from Boney M died in the same city as Rasputin on the same day as Rasputin.
Yep. Let's go down the conspiracy rabbit hole.
That's how to get listeners to these things, apparently.
Yeah. Trump did it.
Do conspiracies in a loud voice. People will think you're intelligent.
Let's get our baseball caps on. Now, all right then. Well, this is interesting because, as you say, let's call it the multi-ethnicity of Boney M. This was interesting, I thought, for stupid YouTube comments from a fella called Silvio Goncalves. Right, he starts off by saying, I'm Brazilian and I'm white. Fair enough. And then he goes, but I'm impressed with the musical talent of North American blacks. It's amazing the songs and musical styles they've created. Long live the black American people. You are wonderful. It's not appropriate this week, but let's just chuck that message out there anyway, just generally. Yeah. Thanks, Silvio Goncalves.
Yeah, these guys are sort of from the Caribbean, but also live in Germany.
I mean, I just loved it again this week. I knew it. I hadn't heard it for ages. If we're on have a dance, put that on, eh?
It's a bit of a comedy song, isn't it? It's a bit of a go-to comedy song because it shows up in the greatest film ever made, Paddington 2.
Okay, does it?
Yes, when they're doing a flashback to Hugh Bonneville being good at the coconut shy. Listening to it properly this week, you go, actually, this is really good.
Yeah.
And this is like ahead of its time and a sort of forerunner of the dance music that would then exist.
Yep.
Years later.
The string arrangement, brilliant. The simplicity of the lyric. Hey, James, I've never been fortunate enough to have children. Do you relate to that idea of being daddy cool now and again? Have you I like it. I thought it was a good notion. I can imagine loads of dads in the 70s thinking, yeah, finally, one from me. There's a record by a band called Darts around the same time called Daddy Cool.
Was it not a cover of this?
No, it's a different song completely. Different song. So I quite like let's call it the archetypal notion of the character Daddy Cool knocking about in pop music.
Well, is it that sort of the first notions of cool as we know it now sort of came about in the 50s? So all the teenagers who were cool in the 50s and now in the 70s are parents.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're like, we're still cool.
But also, Daddy, in terms of the old blues and the old rhythm and blues song, Daddy is a bit of a lover as well. I'll be your daddy, So I've got all that going on. So that kind of stuff. Why are you shuddering so
Just when you said that, it's just when you shudder.
It's always weird when we go a little bit sexual locked in a shed together.
I think there's a missed opportunity in this song.
Yeah, go on.
Because cool rhymes with a lot of things. And the only thing they rhyme it with is fool.
Yeah.
And I do like, it did make me laugh. She's crazy like a fool. Yeah, don't be a fool.
It shifts about, doesn't it? One time he's Daddy Cool, and the other time he's saying I'm Daddy Cool to them. It's a pretty basic song.
A lot of words rhyme with cool that they could have used.
Let's do it. A quiz. All right then. What are your suggestions to upgrade Boney M? You rampant egotist. How could a Boney M done it better?
Could have had school.
Yeah, what would you have said before? You can't just say the word that rhymes. You have to have something that props it up.
He's giving me a lift to school. He's Daddy Cool.
He shouldn't give me a lift to school because of carbon emissions, so he is a kind of fool. That's one of my favourite subjects, James. Let's move off that.
He taught me how to play pool.
Yeah. As Rod Stewart said, I could steal my daddy's cure and make a living out of playing pool. I getcha.
Yeah. He's never been to Goole.
Great idea. If you've been to Goole, I respect your daddy.
He's made out of molecules.
Okay.
All right, I'm getting a bit desperate now. Right, fine. Boney M were right. Fine.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Down 1 to 7. It's The Things We Do for Love by 10cc. Who's missing from this?
Who's missing?
Who's missing?
I don't know. I say nebulous question. Everybody apart from 10C. No, nobody's missing because we all do things for love. Go on, tell me.
Godley and Cream are missing. They had left 10cc just before this came out, partly because of this song, which Kevin Godley described as crap.
Blimey.
He is wrong. It is not crap. It is great.
Yeah.
Sorry, Godley and Cream, you are wrong. This is a good song, and you have left now, so maybe we should call them 5cc.
Are we going to go for the fact of why they're called 10cc?
Everybody knows that.
No, James. Not everybody knows it. I mean, if we're going to... then everybody knows it. You're no fun.
Well, you tell them then.
It was all to do with the measurement of the average male ejaculate, yeah?
Don't know who's measuring that. And to work out an average as well.
Yeah. I mean, there was someone called Cream in them, so maybe he worked it out.
Ungodly and Cream, I say.
I mean, James, the notion of like everybody knows that, hopefully people might listen to this who don't know it. What do you make of that notion?
I was just trying to get out of doing.
Yeah.
Just below
You don't
the
like
belt
talk.
nonsense.
You don't like talking about the human body and its let's call it its sexual energy, do you? Anyway, we're in a shed. Let's move on.
We're in a shed, not a gusser. Anyway, Things We Do for Love. What a 3-minute symphony this is.
It's a beautiful song, isn't it? I mean, I mentioned, you know what I'm like with, I always like to allude to key changes. Whoever's listening can maybe film in with this. I'm not sure whether it has a key change in. It certainly modulates in the middle, goes somewhere else, and then goes back to it. Luckily, I haven't had any time this week, or I would have been playing my guitar a lot and trying to do a very bad version of why it works so interestingly musically. It dips, it swoops, it takes you places. It's beautiful melody, yet it sounds so catchy. You can sing along to it despite its cleverness. Typical 10cc, always got something musically interesting going on if you're interested in that, but also loads and loads of hits.
And this is just Eric Stewart and Graham Gouldman working on it. Eric Stewart originally wrote the song and he wanted it to be about suicide, and Graham Gouldman talked him out of it, and he was right to do that.
Yeah.
Keep it light, guys. Keep it light. Do you think there's a sort of Beatlesy vibe to this song?
Yeah, 10cc undoubtedly have got that Beatles influence, haven't they? Eric Stewart went on to work with Paul McCartney. Yeah, it's got a Beatley vibe, but I mean, if you're going to talk about the Beatles, who's got a Beatley vibe, then we could be here all day, couldn't we?
So this was their biggest hit in America. Godley and Cream, they've got out at the wrong time there. I think it's just bad planning from those two.
Well, I don't know. The Godley and Cream went on to do their own beautiful work, didn't they? They ended up making loads of pop videos, weirdly. Not weirdly, though it's all part of the same thing, isn't it? It's I don't mind.
And as far as I can tell, it wasn't a sort of an acrimonious split.
No.
It was quite amicable. But I've loved listening to this week.
Oh, good.
I would heartily recommend listening to this through headphones as you walk around. It's like being in a rom-com.
Yeah. I mean, I went to see 10cc recently in the last year or so, let's say. Marvellous they are. Now, this is good. We're a little bit like we were talking about the car wash.
Yeah.
And the notion every time you pass a car wash, you end up singing it. I mean, certainly. I think we can all relate to this in this song. Now, someone on YouTube, I can't remember the name, they said, I sing this song every time my wife gives me chores to do around the house. And I think let's call it the lyrical concept of the things we do for love. Obviously, that person's being a bit silly. There's some great words in it, isn't there? That, and I think they've got the touch of the universal. Even if the examples of what the things 10cc do for love don't ring a bell with you, you know what the feeling is, don't you?
Yeah, they go walking in the rain and the snow.
When there's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go.
And if they feel like a part of them is dying. But the whole notion of the things we do for love is such a great hook, isn't it?
Yeah. What have you done for love?
I mean, I have traversed the globe sometimes. I've apologised profusely. Love will take you into strange places and strange situations, undoubtedly.
Clean the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that for my health. Well, actually, I sort of am.
Why don't you email us in at shubygmail? What's it?
ShubyPodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you. Why don't you email us and tell us the things you've done for love for an extra little bit of content at some point? We have to mention that every now and again, don't we?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for listening. Rather than talking about how great this song is and how great 10cc are, let's take that as a fact. Let's have a little look at some thoughts about love and see what we can make of them. Should we give that a go?
Sure.
All right, then, let's have a look on brainyquote.com. Orson Welles says, "We're born alone, we live alone, we die alone. Only through our love and friendship can we create the illusion for the moment that we're not alone."
Try putting that in a Valentine's card. See how that goes.
All right, then, try and guess who said this. "Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive." I'm throwing a little quiz on you like you do on me all the time. Who said that?
You just did.
Well, who am I quoting?
Someone is kind of saying that you need love then.
And compassion.
Maybe all you need is love. Maybe it's one of the Beatles.
If the Dalai Lama was one of the Beatles, it'd be him.
Yep.
All right, then, I like this game.
John, Paul, George, Ringo, and Dalai.
I'm enjoying this game. Who said this? "You can't blame gravity for falling in love."
Sandra Bullock.
It was Albert Einstein.
Oh, he's always going on about gravity, isn't he?
I'm enjoying
Gravity this, gravity that.
Chris Martin wrote a song called Gravity, just to drag it back onto pop music. Beautiful song. "A loving heart is the truest wisdom."
Virgil Sharkey.
Charles Dickens, but
Yeah,
I get
it's
what
close.
you mean. Yeah. Should we do one more and then
One
just
more.
get out of Dodge? All right, then. Who said, "There's no bad consequences to loving fully with all your heart. You always gain by giving love"? I can see a picture formulating in your mind about who would say such a thing.
Gordon Honeycomb.
Very close, because it was Reese Witherspoon.
You can eat honey with a spoon.
Number 6.
At number 6 this week, who cares whether it's gone up or down, because it's an absolute stone cold classic. It's "I Wish" by Stevie Wonder. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we just end that there?
Yeah,
Come
absolutely.
on. Come on, guys.
Come on.
Come on.
Brilliant.
It's I Wish. It just cheers everyone up. It's like in that proper imperial phase of Stevie Wonder,
Yep.
of those 70s albums, where there's just so many great songs.
Great moments from the opening bass line, which, you know it, to the trumpets at the end, whatever that is. Beautiful. Stevie Wonder's voice. I mean, he's I believe him to be a gift from God, if I believed in such a thing. Stevie Wonder is a phenomenon, of course. That's not an original thought. What do you make of the old lyrics? Let's say we can't really play the music. I can't play it on guitar and ruin it for you. So let's talk about the whole notion of the song.
Well, it's about nostalgia, and there's quite a lot of nostalgia around the charts in January 1977. And in the bonus tracks, we're going to get into that a little bit, I think. But yeah, because he's talking about his childhood. Apparently, this whole song was inspired by the Motown Company picnic.
Oh, really?
Right, so they have Berry Gordy throws a big picnic for everyone from Motown, and Stevie Wonder goes along, and he's got horrible toothache, and then he goes to the picnic and he has a lovely time,
Yeah.
and it just reminds him of being a kid. So
Aha.
he writes this song off the back of it.
See, sometimes I don't like it when you tell me what the inspiration for the song is, because I think, I don't want to know that, but for some stupid reason, I'm enjoying that one, James.
Yeah, and there's so many great lyrics that they still resonate now. I don't know whether will they resonate with the kids of today. With talking about "My only worry was for Christmas, what would be my toy." The kids
Of course.
What about that? Do you know what the big toys were in the Christmas that just happened?
In 1977.
Well, because this is January 77, so the toys for Christmas 76.
So it won't be no Star Wars stuff yet.
No, that would be the next year. In fact, I'd say there's a big change in toys between 76 and 77, because in 77, not only are the Star Wars toys in the shops, there's also Atari. The first sort of computer games console. So this is kind of the last analog Christmas.
All right, then I like the notion of the last analog Christmas being 76. What were the big toys in 76?
Well, according to my research, they were Stretch Armstrong.
Never saw the point of Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
Just for, if people don't know, Stretch Armstrong, that was a doll with just long stretchy arms that you could pull out, and that was essentially it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Cher dolls.
Huh?
You know Cher
As in Sonny and?
Yeah.
Yeah.
dolls
Really?
of Cher.
76?
Yeah.
How come?
They're not like life-size inflatable ones.
Yeah.
I looked into that.
That's weird, isn't it? Well done, Cher, for somehow monetising her likeness.
And Magnadoodles.
Ah, wanted a Magnadoodle. Bad.
Who didn't want a Magnadoodle?
Yeah.
It was the precursor of the iPad.
Yeah. There was a TV show called Shoestring at the time where, like, they have to give detectives a little quirk.
Yeah.
And Eddie Shoestrings, his was sketching, right?
Yeah.
That's what he liked to do. And then in one episode, I vaguely remember, must have been around this time, I suppose, someone bought him a Magnadoodle, and I was jealous.
He's the Magnadoodling cop. He solves crimes with the Magnadoodle.
Have you seen that thing that Bob Mortimer did once when I can't remember what program it was, but he said he realised that a lot of television detectives had to have a quirk, as we just alluded to.
Oh, yes, when he was in Randall and Hopkirk Deceased.
Yeah, do you know what his quirk was?
I do, but you can tell everyone.
Bob Mortimer decided his character's quirk was going to be just to eat a lot of crisps.
Could have done Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah.
Wonder lists a lot of nefarious activities he got up to as a youth. So I'm going to go through the list.
Yeah, let's do it.
And I want you to tell me which ones of these you've done.
Yeah.
Sneaking out the back door to hang out with hoodlum friends.
For sure, I did that, or the equivalent of it. I mean, I'm not equating my, let's call it, lived experience, as people are fond of saying to Stevie Wonder, but I snuck out the back door to hang out with bigger boys and badder boys and all that sort of stuff, for sure.
I don't think I ever hung around with hoodlums. I think I was annoyingly...
Well, I didn't really,
goody-goody.
But
Well,
I know,
I don't know if we can count that then.
poetically, I know what he's on about.
Did you ever pretend to cry to avoid a beating?
No, I don't think so. I never got a beating, not for my parents. I got a beating when I was about 7 or 8 for the little school ground fight, though, so maybe I did.
I have definitely done something like that. Definitely would have done that. Have you ever played a doctor with that girl?
Yep, I certainly did that.
Yep.
It was great.
Using money intended for Sunday school for candy.
No, part of the reason I used to go to Sunday school, I went once or twice in my, let's call it, childhood, and that was partly at Easter time because I heard they were giving out bits of chocolate, so I did the opposite of Stevie Wonder. I went to Sunday school because of the candy.
Yeah, had he gone to Sunday school, he would have learnt that. But
Only 1 week a year. They would
Yeah.
have been begging for money and telling you off for having dirty thoughts otherwise.
being sent to the principal's office.
Yes, I got
or
sent
head
to the
teacher.
principal's office several times. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a few times.
For being a nappy-headed boy, weirdly.
Smoking cigarettes.
To this day.
Yeah, I never have. So, no.
You square.
Yep. I'll just never be cool.
But you also live much, much longer and not
Yeah.
smell a little bit.
Writing something nasty on the wall.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you done that?
Yeah.
I've only ever graffitied once, and it wasn't nasty.
Okay.
It
was it?
One of my first girlfriends. It was a heart with our initials on it.
Ah, the classic.
Yeah. And then we played Doctor.
Can't help but be nostalgic. About
Yeah,
the
and what's incredible is Stevie Wonder by this point is hugely successful recording artist and critically lauded by his peers and the industry, and yet he is still nostalgic for a time when he was growing up dirt poor. The power of nostalgia to make you only think of the good times.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got that in it, hasn't it? I found it pretty interesting because I'm going to say I love every second of this record. There's always something going on. I also like it so much that the bass line was used in Wild Wild West, the Will Smith song. Yeah, right. I found this interesting, James, in terms of my own inner psyche. There's so many pop musicians, right, or musicians in the past who've behaved, let's call it terribly. You know, we've covered Bobby Brown and Michael Jackson in the past, for instance. With Michael Jackson, I always sort of think, I don't want to think about that. Let's just enjoy Billie Jean. Whenever I think of Will Smith, this might be being a comedian. I cannot forgive him for the terrible things he did. So, but I still love Wild Wild West, of course. So that's a banger. What?
Nah, don't like Wild Wild West.
Oh, fair enough.
He's just that period of Will Smith where he would just take old records and then rap about the new film he was in over the top.
Yeah, I miss them days.
He did stop doing that. He didn't do one for that film he did about being Venus Williams' dad, did he?
No.
He didn't get the beat of, I don't know, Boogie Wonderland and start going about, I want my daughter to play tennis over the top.
No. What he did instead was punch a comedian for a lame joke and then get all of Hollywood to applaud him. YouTube comments, you know what I like, James? This is from a fella called Christopher Thesis. He goes, this is one of those songs, even if you're alone in an empty house, you're still going to dance your ass off.
True. It's really the only time I do dance my ass off, if there's anyone around. You know that thing of dance like no one's watching?
Yeah.
I have to make sure no one's watching.
I saw a meme once that said, dance like no one's watching, because they're not. They're probably on their phones. Let's do a little spoiler. This was a single from the album Songs in the Key of Life. Mm-hmm. There's another song coming up from that album.
Sort of, yes.
Definitely is another song.
Yep.
Anyway.
That's something to look forward to.
What a cliff edge. In part 2 of this week's Shooby Dooby Doo-Wop, we'll be deep diving the, would you believe it, the top 5 from the 28th of January 1977. Here's a little taste of what you can expect.
Why is he writing people's numbers in the Communist Manifesto?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
That's changed his song completely. I think that's what it is, some sort of roundup for political beliefs. But he's also got a moustache. Now, you know what I think about any pop singer with a moustache.
Yeah.
Or any person with a moustache. I think they look like a right bastard. It's like some sort of a Motown Boris Johnson.
That is the most bored-looking audience I've ever seen. And do bear in mind, I have been at 100% of my gigs.
Well, everyone in the YouTube comments would come over and give you a right slapping for that.
Check out our Spotify and YouTube playlists.
Please do.
And let us know your thoughts at shoobypodcast@gmail.com. And for the songs that aren't in the top 10, join our Patreon community and become a subscriber.
Thank you so much for listening. Whatever you do, you can share, follow, subscribe.
Please leave us a review. Those things really, really help us.
Really help us. In fact, just put anything on the internet. It might come back to us at some point, won't it, James?
Presumably. I'm busy Googling the show all the time, so...
If you're Googling, please remember to shooby-dooby-doo-wop.
Bop, bop, shoo up.